Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 4 of What If Naruto Was Sent to a Parallel Universe. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other channels. Yes, that's right, I indeed have 4 guys, which I post what you fun every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and smash that red subscribe button and become a part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And don't forget to comment down below and tell me if you're new so I can welcome you personally, guys. So without further ado or wasting any more time, what do you say we jump right into this brand new episode begin? Now guys. So the last time we left off, Naruto was a bit pissed off at Sasuke, as Sasuke said that Kiba was weak, and Naruto was just, well, fighting a weakling. That is why it was better if they fought, as Naruto was amused by that. However, Iruka allowed it to happen, on their insistence. So with that, both boys stepped up to the plate. As the group watched the match unfold, the Sasuke fan club was cheering for him, believing that he got this in the bag after all. For the past couple of years, the only one that has ever come close to Sasuke in fighting was Naruto, and she was the best kunoichi in the class. So, they were sure that Sasuke was gonna win this. However, they were terribly wrong as the match began. Everything Sasuke threw, Naruto either dodge or simply block. Sasuke stood absolutely no chance, as Naruto basically taunted him the entire match, toying with him because he stood absolutely no chance. Their match dragged on for some time, because Naruto was showing him that they were not on the same level, proving to Sasuke why he couldn't win. In the end, Naruto was able to drop him like he was nothing, as Sasuke ended up using an illegal fireball jutsu in the taijutsu match because he lost his cool. However, Naruto simply used a scroll and sucked it inside. Because of the position of the way he was turned, they thought that he had gotten burned. However, Naruto was completely fine as he stepped out, unscathed, as Natsume breathed a sigh of relief that he was okay. However, Sasuke was scolded by Iruka, who was rather angry about that. However, Naruto was gonna let it slide, but he warned Sasuke against something like that ever again. So with that, the team placements were made. However, Naruto took Natsume to get some ramen. While they were eating the ramen, Naruto was thinking deeply about telling her about what is to come, as she needed to know. Once he was done with his ramen, he brought her towards a monument, his favorite place where he went on several occasions. Upon bringing her there, Naruto proceeded to tell her who he was. She was shocked. Now it was strange because they were not actually related, but in a way they were as well. She was confused. However, Naruto thought that she might hate him for this, but she simply hugged him. Of course she did not hate him. She did not hate him one bit. Naruto was overjoyed as he smiled by hearing that. Hearing that she accepted him despite him not telling her from before. With that, he brought the both of them in her mindscape. Because of the fox, something was strange. The beasts were connected. Kurama inside of Naruto seemed to be the one inside of Naruto. It was messed up because of the time being merged together. The fox were intertwined, his personality being the same one as inside of Naruto. as Naruto went to pull off the seal. Well, they had to talk to her first regarding who Kurama actually was. In terms of, well, him not being that bad. However, in them doing so, Naruto ended up bringing out the fourth Hokage that was set in the seal as a cautionary measure in case the fox was ever to break free. And Naruto was able to meet her father for the first time. She was shocked, overjoyed that she couldn't believe it, as she looked towards the man. Minato stood there. He was deeply saddened. Yes, he was. After all, he had failed her. He had failed her badly, as he apologized on his knees. The things that he had done that led her to become the 90th Jinchuriki. It would never change the past, but he begged for her forgiveness. She took it a lot better than Naruto because Naruto had ended up punching Minato the first time he met him. As she walked over and hugged her father, she wanted to hate him, but she just could not. She herself wanted to be the Hokage one day, knowing the hard decisions that one must make to protect the village. As Naruto watched a touching scene along with the fox, Minato being confused by him being here as well. So yeah guys, basically let's left off. You guys can switch across the play, check it out for yourself. So this is we jump right into this new episode begin now guys. As Naruto hugged her father, Naruto did not want to interrupt the emotional moment, so he stood off to the side as he glanced up towards Kurama. Naruto knew that Kurama would never admit it out loud, but Naruto's interactions with him had mellowed him out a lot. Indeed, the great fox had changed from a grumpy, cynical, all-around jerk to a level-headed, sometimes humorous, older brother figure who also had a teasing streak about him, considering that he liked to make Naruto squirm, and that brought him a lot of entertainment. In Naruto's opinion, he liked the new Kurama a lot better than the old one. A wise, playful, mischievous Kurama was better than a Kurama who was trying to kill him and plotting a way to break the seal every time he visited. As Naruto spoke up, Kurama, he said, causing the fox to look down towards him. Am I doing the right thing, he asked. Kurama raised a sudden eyebrow, clearly not expecting a sudden question. Why do you ask, Naruto, he said, as he heard the tone that Naruto spoke in. It was a tone that he used when he doubted his own choice or actions. And Kurama knew by principle that the indecisive and reluctant Naruto was just as bad as neither winning a bet. Naruto sighed as he turned his gaze back towards Naruto and Minato as they were bonding with one another, talking and laughing. His gaze softened as she saw a happy and smiling Naruto. He felt happy when she was happy. Did I do the right thing by revealing the truth, said Naruto. Yes, you did, Kurama said, without hesitation. It must come out sooner than later, and the sooner that she can come to terms with it and accept it, the better. You know that, kid. Unknown to Naruto, the two other occupants were overhearing them. I know, but as Naruto paused, as he was unmindful to the fact that his voice was echoing through the mindscape. Is she ready for it? I mean, I know revealing the truth was the right thing to do and put her mind at ease, but am I going a bit too fast? As Kurama focused on him, I only just met her yesterday, where I unexpectedly came in her life. Then from there everything just seemed to be going so fast. I met Hokage Jiji, and I told him about the future. But I suspect that he still have some doubts and suspicions about my claims. I can sense it, although he tried to hide it, said Naruto. Damn it, said Naruto as a frown came on his face. I knew I should have used a memory viewing technique when I was explaining our circumstances. I may still be a bit dense, but even I can tell that I jumped the gun when I saw Gigi again. I was so happy that he was alive that I didn't even think it over. But did I push Naruto too fast? Am I keeping things in balance? What if I ruin everything by my decisions? What if I cause the world to fail once again? Said Naruto as he was confused, his mind was getting frustrated. It was a lot to handle, as he started to watch a scene that played out in front of him to see how happy Naruto was. His mind started to show him scenes of Kaguya ending everything, and he was afraid. He could not lose everything once again. He just could not. It was just a short time, and yet the feelings that he had for this place, for her, and he was afraid of what might happen because of his decisions. He was just one man. How could he stop and change everything? Could he really even do it? Doubt, insecurity, and fear started to grab at Naruto's heart, and it was reflecting in his emotions and actions. There was also another reason as well. However, Kurama figured it out right away, as he needed Naruto on top of his game, so that he could fulfill the prophecy that Gamamaru said, and defeat Kaguya. Kurama knew that this world didn't stand a chance without Naruto being confident, and be able to carry himself with the belief that he would win. Because if Naruto had doubts, the entire fluctuation, everything would be thrown into chaos, and they would lose. He had no doubt about that. Snap out of it, kid, Kurama said, as that drew Naruto's attention rather quickly. Do not even think, not even for a moment, that your choices and actions are wrong. You need to have faith in yourself and the choices that you make, and what is done is already done. As Naruto stood there listening to him, ever since they had bonded together, Kurama had lessened his yelling. The fox had explained to Naruto some time ago that yelling was rather exhausted, so for him to yell to get his point across, it showed that he wanted Naruto to focus and listen to him. As he looked at Naruto, tell me, what happened to the Naruto I knew? The young boy that risked his life to save the people that he cherished without caring for the consequences. Naruto looked downcast as he absorbed Kurama every word. What happened to the same young boy that was always kind, confident, cocky, and hyperactive, and always stayed that way in and against certain danger, even when death and chaos was over the horizon? He never wavered, as all of the fox's words were striking home hard, till the point where Naruto got tears in his eyes, as he couldn't hold it back anymore. What happened to the young boy that proved to the villagers that he was meant for greater things than being the village's scapegoat? The same young boy that defeated the monster inside of him, but not only that, befriend said monster, and now they're the best of friends, he said, with a grin on his face, as an image of the sage flashed across Kurama's mind, making him smile to himself, as he remembered the horrible words that the villagers used to call Naruto, and vice versa himself, monster, demon. But now, it was different. Naruto was his friend, his very best friend, the human that he trusted the most. As Naruto was being assaulted by emotions and sympathy, the thing was, ever since coming to this new dimension, Naruto had never grieved. Yes, and that was a bad thing. He lost everything. Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi, Iruka, every single one that knew him, every single one that he cherished, he lost them. They all died. Kaguya ended their life. Yes, this dimension, those people were still here, but they were not his people, they were Naruto's. He, on the other hand, he lost, he failed. He had never grieved. The pain had been bottled up inside of him. Despite him making it look easy and acting like everything was okay, Kurama could feel the emotions, and they were building and building and building and building, and now they were exploding outwards. They were finally coming out, as Naruto was starting to feel everything. A big part of the reason for the tears that stained his cheeks. You've buried everything that you've witnessed and felt so far. Same for this new dimension that we're in, said Kurama. You feel jealous of our treatment here, Kurama said. However, you feel bad that you feel jealous. You feel horrible that you felt that way. That how your life and hers were different because of a few certain things that changed everything for her, but not for you. And because of that you feel terrible, like you're a bad person, so you bury all of that emotion deep down. Tell me, how close am I to the mark? Kurama said, as Naruto did not answer though. As Naruto looked on in deep sadness, hearing what the fox said towards her brother. As Minato stood there in silence, as he started to wrap his head around what was going on from what was said so far. As it might seem crazy, but that boy appeared to be his son. Well, not his son, but his son from another dimension. Another reality, if he was hearing correctly. Given the looks, he was certain of that. He looked exactly like him. It sounded crazy, like something out of a story about that parents write to children at night time. However, deep down Minato knew it didn't matter how crazy it sounded. The fox was speaking the truth. There was no doubt about that, he could tell. Kurama sighed as he looked down towards Naruto. You don't have to hide them anymore, kid, he said. I'm here. The vixen over there is here as well. He said, nudging Naruto, caused him to look up towards him with exhausted, tear-streaked blue eyes. We'll get through this together, alright? And knowing you, you will just power through and become the same boy that you once were again, without blinking. Kurama chuckled as he caused Naruto to smile at the fox's attempt of cheering him up, as Naruto had forgotten the last time when he was this conflicted with his emotions. And well, he didn't like it one bit. As his sister intervened, as Naruto turned, the moment he did so, she hugged him. She held him in a tight embrace. As Naruto realized that he had broken down at the most inappropriate time, when she was bonding with her father. However, she hugged him tightly, a hug filled with nothing but warmth to love, respect, everything. She pulled back. I've told you before, didn't I? She said. There was a smile on her face. I will never hate you, she said. So please, you don't have to hide your feelings from me. Even if it's for my sake, you don't have to bottle it up. As she touched her forehead with his, as she managed not to blush at the closeness, as she closed her eyes. You and I both know that it's not good for you, for anyone really, she said, as she looked up towards him. You're my precious big brother, Naruto-kun, she said, and I can say without a shred of doubt. As she looked into his eyes, I love you, she said, as Naruto was taken back by those words. As he looked at her, his mind was still processing the words, as his mouth had to make a joke though. Even though you just met me yesterday, he said, in a joking tone, making her giggle. As she calmed her giggling down, after what you showed me today, I felt like I'd known you my entire life. So yes, I do love you, she said. As Naruto smiled, his voice was hoarse and cracked. As he hugged her tighter, I love you too, he said. From the moment I met you, it's only now that I'm just understanding, said Naruto. Well, she said with tears still falling down her eyes. Better late than never, isn't that right? Causing Naruto to chuckle, as she chuckled as well. As Minato was over there, understanding Naruto's words. As he had about 15 minutes left until his chakra faded away. As he wondered how the young blonde got his hands on the key that he had engraved with the toad named Giratora that was currently in the control of Jiraiya at the moment. All of this was a lot to consume his mind as his head started to actually throb, which actually made no sense. It then clicked to him. How stupid could he be? Why didn't he realize that? It was so easy. As he started to review Naruto's memories like he had been doing. As he came up to her recent memories, what he found shocked him to his core. Over to the other side, Naruto was smiling as Naruto was looking at him. What is it? Said Naruto. She had a strange look on her face. Oh, it's nothing. It's just, you look really handsome when you smile, she told him. Her hand immediately clapped over her mouth as she couldn't believe that she just said that. As she looked away, a blush on her cheeks. A slight glance at Naruto told her that he wasn't fearing any better, as he was also blushing as well, his mouth gaping. If the situation wasn't so embarrassing, she would have laughed at the look on his face, as Naruto tried to bring his blush under control as he laughed, awkwardly as he did, in awkward situations, where he was the one on the receiving end. Thanks, Naruto-chan, he said. I think. As he stumbled off at the end. However, his earlier emotional state had seemed to be forgotten, as his cheery attitude was once again back, full force, as he didn't know what to say because he wasn't quite used to, well, someone complimenting him on his looks. The last thing he could remember was Shin telling him that she wanted to, well, have an ear for the clan to pass her powers down to. And she asked if he could help her with that. At the time, Naruto wasn't quite sure what that meant. However, years later, Kurama had told him and helped him understand. The fox had laughed and teased him for so long, as Naruto did not even know what he was agreeing to. But it never did come to fruition. But it was still rather embarrassing that he wasn't even aware of what she was talking about, as Naruto was now cursing mentally. He was crushing hard on his counterpart, which was him in a sense and not him in a sense, and she was his sister in one sense and not his sister in one sense. It was all just so frustrating and complicated. As Naruto shook his head, besides, it's too early for anything that his mind ever conjure up. So right now he will just settle for protecting her, and be the best big brother he could. As he cleared his throat, breaking the slightly awkward atmosphere, as he smiled at her. "Well, thanks for the compliment," he said. "It's rather refreshing. I don't get that kind of compliment often." As he scratched the side of his cheek as he said that, clearly a bit still embarrassed. She smiled warmly. "You're welcome, big brother," she said. As Naruto stretched, "Man, it feels like forever since we've been in here." "Yeah, like an entire episode," Naruto said. "What?" said Naruto, looking towards her. "Oh, it's nothing," she said. "Oh, okay," said Naruto. "Hey, does time in here flow the same as outside?" she asked. It was a question that plagued her thoughts since she entered the mindscape, but there was so much revelation, so much things that came to the forefront of her mind that it was pushed back. Well, time actually flowed different in here than outside. I doubt any time has really passed outside, given the long time we've been in here for. That's just how it works. "I know. It takes a lot to get used to," said Naruto, seeing the look on her face. "But these are the wonders of Fuinjutsu. A bit of sealing mixed up with your own mental capacity state, able to render even time ineffective." "That's awesome," she said. "Yeah, it is. I just started to learn it myself after receiving my own father memories from my time," said Naruto. "Can you teach me that?" she said. "The whole Fuinjutsu thing." "What kind of question is that?" "Of course I'll teach you," said Naruto. "You're not just my sister, but you're Uzumaki, and we Uzumakis have an aptitude for Fuinjutsu. So sooner or later we would have dived into it." She smiled happily as she hugged him. "Thank you, big brother," she said. "Meh, don't mention it," said Naruto. As Minato walked over. "Hey look, it's father. He seems kind of tired." Naruto finished for her. "No, sorrowful," she said. "I was going to say sorrowful." "But why? It's only been a minute, right?" "Let's ask." As the both of them watched as he came closer, Minato stopped in front of them as he released a heavy sigh. It was really heavy and daunting. His expression was one of deep remorse and compassion. "Naruto," he said, looking up towards the boy. As he trailed off, he took a breath. "Are your memories real?" "I mean, are they really real?" said Minato, as he was able to see what Naruto had told Naruto, and able to see what he had showed her as well. "They're 100% authentic," said Naruto. "I know it's kind of hard to take. I'm not surprised it's been weighing on you after you just reviewed them," said Naruto. "Hard to take? That's the understatement of the century," said Minato, causing the other two to laugh, as Minato couldn't help but laugh as well, despite the daunting memories that he just viewed, because they were so worrying and troublesome. Sometimes you just have to laugh so you won't explode from all the information and all the things that you know that is coming. As Minato looked towards Naruto, he knew that he was not his son. However, in a sense, he kind of was. The concept that he had was only being a father to a daughter, but he was kind of delighted to have a son as well. If it would have been up to him, he would have had 2 children, a daughter and a son. However, he never got that time. So despite Naruto not being his, in a way they are kind of linked together. And now that Naruto was here, the things that he saw, the events that Naruto went through, the hardship, the weight on his shoulders, the pain, the suffering, and yet, through all of it he strived. He broke through everything that was set in his way, and even succumbing to death, even Kami saw it fit to bless him with a chance of happiness. A chance of stopping that woman from bringing everything down to ashes. As Minato walked forward and pulled the both of them into a warm hug. "Father," said Naruto, "what's gotten into you?" He smiled. "Nothing," he said. "It's just overwhelming. I'm happy. I'm happy that the both of you are here," he said. "I'm sorry that you had to go through all of that, Naruto," he said. "No one should. Some father I turned out to be, huh? Not only did I fail my daughter here in this world, I also failed my son in another world as well. Maybe. I'm not cut out to be..." However, his words were cut off by killer intent. Looking up, as he saw the furious eyes of the two. "Don't you dare finish that sentence, father," said Naruto. "She's right," said Naruto. "You cannot blame all of this on yourself. Kurama attack was never your fault. And Kaguya and Black Zetsu, none of it," he said. As he looked at the man. "He's right, father. You did your best. You did what you had to do as the fourth Hokage of the village. You did what was right for the village. It is the responsibility of a Hokage to make sure that everyone is safe. The pain and hardships and trials, it is what molded us to be the people that we are today. Despite you not being there for us, you passed us on with a dream knowing that you had faith in us. You believed that we could gain the power of Kurama and use it for good, to save our people. And despite that pain, despite the hardship, we never broke, we never gave up, because we are your children. So don't you ever dare say that you're not cut out for this. You did all that you could." As Naruto looked at the man, "Every word that she says is right, and you know that. Even when you were not my father," said Naruto as he brought a hand to his chest. "You were there for me, my idol. My dream was to reach a level that you reached and surpass you. You were the one that I seek to impress, despite not knowing who you are. You did all that you can. So there's no need for you to put this blame on yourself. You've done enough. All you have to do now is leave it to your children," the both of them said. That brought a warm, happy smile on his face, as it actually brought tears in men's eyes. "Thank you, both of you," he said, tears streaming down his cheek. That is when his body started to break apart. His body started to become translucent. "What's happening?" "It seems my time is running out," he said. "No," said Naruto. "We just found one another. This is not fair. You can't be leaving so soon," she said. "Come on now, Naruto," said Naruto. "It will be a lot harder for father to leave us knowing that his leaving will bring us much more pain." She looked at her father. She didn't want to be selfish. She knew that he was not real and that he would go away. "I'll miss you," she said. "And I'll miss you," he said. "Take care of your brother, my little angel." "I will." And Naruto said, "Minato, protect what is precious to you, and take care of your little sister. Watch each other back," he said to him. "I will. And you know I never go back on my word," said Naruto. As Minato smiled. "I love you both," he said. With that, he slowly made his way off, descending up into the heavens like an angel. "Bye, father," said Naruto. And he was gone. Naruto turned towards her. "You okay?" "Yeah," she said. "I'm gonna miss him though." "You and me both," said Naruto. "There's one other person," said Naruto. "They could only be brought out one at a time, so it's time for you to meet her." "Her? Who are you?" As Naruto's smile cutting her off. "A very special person, just like father." "Come on now, Naruto-kun," a voice said. "You're over-exaggerating me. I'm not that special, am I?" A voice said, soft and sweet. Naruto turned, as she saw a beautiful woman standing there, long red hair in a green dress. She knew it. Despite not knowing, she just knew. She already knew who this person was. She saw the look in her eyes. Well said, Naruto, you can't really sell yourself short. You are Kushina Uzumaki after all. As Kushina chuckled at that. I am pretty awesome, she said. Mom, said Naruto. That's right, honey. I'm your mother. As Naruto rushed forward, her mother enveloped her in a tight hug. Mom, she said, once again crying. She had no idea how much time she cried. Absolutely none. But it was a lot since meeting her family. Coming in here, it was a lot. As Kushina gently ran her hand through her daughter's golden hair. Yes, my little angel. Mom is here, she said. As Kushina took notice of Naruto standing there. Come here, my son, she said, as she held out her hand. I heard everything, Naruto-kun, she said, and I can't, in good conscience, ignore my own flesh and blood, even if I have no memories of giving birth to twins, she said to him, making Naruto chuckle at her attempt of a joke. As he walked over, as she pulled him into a hug as well, as the three of them share a tight hug. Over to the side, Kurama was resting his head on his paw as he watched the scene unfold. There was a smile on his face as he did not say anything. He would not interrupt this wonderful scene. Time skip. Happiness and satisfaction. That is what Naruto was feeling as Naruto held onto his arm. They were heading towards Hokage's tower. They still had 1 hour before they had to report back in for their team assignment. However, they were going to the tower. After their emotional reunion, the Uzumaki trio bonded and talked. With the time that Kushina had, as they talk about everything, Naruto mainly talking to her mother about a lot. As Naruto was so happy, she was able to meet her mother and father, something that she wanted for the longest time now. However, Kushina had brought up a great topic about Naruto. Flashback. As Naruto was allowing Naruto to talk to Kushina, when Kushina had called out to him, as Naruto was simply standing there with a smile, as he was snapped out of his thoughts. Sorry, what was that he said? I said, if you were as skilled as you were when you were back in your own timeline, doesn't that upset the equilibrium of the team? As Naruto looked at her and raised an eyebrow, what I meant is, you're basically a Kage's level shinobi, or above that in your own right, holding on to a genuine rank. It would not only unbalance the team, but it will also have the team dragging you down because of the skill sets that they possess and what the genuine rank entails, she told him. As Naruto had never really thought about that, but he did realize that he would go back to being a genin, and he was far, far, far above that in terms of all-around power and strength. When you get back, go and talk to the third Hokage to giving you permission to operate with a Jonin retainer as an observer. As Naruto looked at her as Naruto tilted her head confused, wondering what was that. As Kushina explained, though it is rare, there are some cases that, when graduating from the academy, some genins were already made Chunin level after graduation. Take Itachi Uchiha for example. It was only a few weeks before the third Hokage allowed him to operate as an independent cell, able to operate with other teams that require assistance. However, when it comes to skill set, you're far above Itachi. So despite him taking a few weeks to get that, you should be given that immediately. As Naruto thought about it, this sounded good, and he would be an observer for their team, so... However, despite that position making him be able to do more and a lot more good, the thing was, he wanted to be in a team with Naruto. That is why he didn't have a problem with being a genin again, because she was going to be on his team. He glanced towards her. Kushina found it rather adorable that he heavily weighed on her opinion so much. You have to do it, she said. As Naruto looked at her, I understand your predicament, and I'm honestly nowhere near your level, and we would just weigh you down. But this way, you can do a lot more. I know that you won't be on my team as I planned or thought, but it is better for you, and I'm not going to be selfish, she said. She clenched her fists. I'm going to get strong, extremely so. However, it won't be easy, and I know I can't reach your level that quickly. So you have to do this, she said. I believe in you. So if you're looking for my opinion, I'm 100% with it, she said, as she gave my thumbs up with a grin, making Naruto chuckle at her gesture. Thanks, he said. No problem, she said to him, as Kushina simply smiled at the interaction, as they spent the remaining time talking to one another, until Kushina chakra gave out as well. End of flashback. After the whole interaction, both Naruto and Naruto could talk to each other without even entering their mindscape. However, they had to erect shields in their mind to make sure neither of the other found out about their embarrassing thoughts, as it would be rather embarrassing for her to hear what he was thinking when he didn't want her to hear, or the other way around. But they could still talk to one another. Harrison greeted the both of them with a smile as they arrived in his room. He noticed that Naruto seemed off. There was something that he could not define in her face. Is everything alright, Naruto-chan? He asked. She nodded her head, as Naruto told him that he told her everything. As Harrison nodded, well, it's good that you know, he said, as he turned towards Naruto. Are you alright? He asked her. She nodded her head. Yes, she said. I'm fine, Hokage-sama. I trust my big brother completely, and I know he will never lie to me again. Harrison smiled hearing that. That's good to hear. In fact, he had wanted to bring this up, to tell Naruto to tell her about everything about what is to come, because they had to be prepared. Yes, they had to be prepared for the future. So this was good, really good. So, other than that, is there anything else, he asks? How about the team assignments? Actually, that is why we're here. With all due respect, Hokage-sama, but I think you're showing blatant favoritism with choosing Team 7. As Harrison gave Naruto a questioning look, as he elaborated, traditional shinobi cells only contain 4 members, not the usual 5. And this is a blatant favoritism towards Naruto-chan and me, Hokage-sama, and it might send the wrong message to the other shinobis under your command. Harrison was stunned, as it was pointed out right to him, with Team 7 being public knowledge and Naruto being Naruto's brother. This might seem as a blatant favoritism showing in his choice, for showing the team that has brought out the finest shinobis, with Naruto on it as well. This fluctuation might be what his political enemies need to strike at him. For years he had kept the civilian council that was mostly consist of Konoha trading unions and merchant elites from interfering with Naruto's life. He had threatened to execute any one of them, even if they simply look at her the wrong way. Most had begrudgingly agreed. However, some of them were still waiting for the opportunity to strike at him, socially or politically. Especially his old teammate and rival, Danzo Shimura, who always wanted to be Hokage himself, as it finally caught up to him. Damn it. I'm getting too old for this shit, he thought to himself. You're right, Naruto-kun. I have completely missed that, he said. I had not think about the backlash that this might bring. That's understandable. You're human after all, even if you are the Hokage. Harrison looked at him. So what do you suggest, he said, knowing that Naruto might have a lot of insight in this. Take me off the team and place me as an independent genin cell with a jonin retainer, said Naruto. Harrison was surprised that he brought up that, as Naruto told him about their encounter with Kushina and Minato, and that it was Kushina's idea. Even though Naruto had been reduced back to his smaller body, his skills and tactic and everything was far above everyone in this village. Harrison was shocked, as he didn't know about the whole ceiling thing with Minato and Kushina. As he puffed on his pipe, blowing the smoke to the side, I can see Kushina-chan merit for placing you on an independent cell team, as it was the same for Itachi Uchiha years ago. As he thought it over, this was the best option that he could make right now. I'll take care of the paperwork and contact Team 7 Jonin Sensei, and about your transfer as well. I'll see about getting you a Jonin retainer. I'm guessing that you were already aware about who your Jonin sensei would have been, right? The latest one of them all, said Naruto, making Hiruzen chuckle. Alright then, he said as he dismissed them. As Naruto paused at the door. You know, there is something that you can do to help you out with those, said Naruto as he pointed towards the stack of paperwork. Oh, please enlighten me, Hiruzen said, looking towards Naruto. What could it be that he hadn't think about to help him with this paperwork? A lot of people always miss this. Shadow Clone, said Naruto. Hiruzen blinked. Naruto had already stepped out of the office. That is when she heard something slam hard. It sounded like chaos that followed as she pushed back inside to see a broken table with papers all around. What's wrong? She asked. Hiruzen looked up towards her. Oh, it's nothing, he said. As his assistant came in, he curiously looked over. What's going on? He sighed. It's nothing, he said. He let his anger got the better of him. All these goddamn years. And yet, I didn't think of that. He cursed to himself in his mind. As Naruto had that amused expression on his face, causing Hiruzen to glare at him. As Naruto had to cover his mouth so he wouldn't burst out laughing. Time skip. As Naruto was walking with Naruto, she was still holding on to his arm. Naruto was thinking about none other than Danzo. He had not put that into account. All he knew about the man was what Sai had told him, and what Tsunade had told him as well. Espionage, sabotage, blackmailing, black ops, mental and emotional conditioning, etc. And Tsunade had told him that Danzo was a very power-hungry individual as well. He had always wanted the fox to be his ultimate weapon of destruction so that he could lead Konoha to take over all the other nations. However, Naruto was saved from that fate because of his Jiji, and also Tsunade as well when she had took the hat. However, Naruto was worried because his arrival could also jeopardize Hiruzen's position. If Danzo was ever to become Hokage, things would change up so fast. At the moment though, Naruto had clones all over the place. They were transformed into your everyday objects and animals as well, to notify him if they came across any root agents spying on them. He had already spoken to Hiruzen already about what happened if Danzo was to question him and his arrival. It was thanks to Kurama that he remembered that, as he almost forgot about the War Hawk because of him being so well secretive. With that, the both of them finally made it back to the academy. You're late! A voice shouted out the moment they entered, as it was none other than Sakura Haruno, as Naruto picked his ear. He did not forget about her volume. It was always a bit too loud when she was younger. What are we late for exactly? Our sensei isn't even here yet, and it's been 2.5 hours, Naruto said. Sakura huffed as she spoke again with her usual haughty attitude. Well, you should have arrived early, and who knows, our sensei could be here at any time, she said. As Naruto mentally faced palm as Naruto, eyebrow twitched at that. We took our lunch and we're already back here, half an hour waiting. Isn't that right, Sasuke-kun? Sakura said. Tch, whatever, he said, turning his head away. As Sakura became downcast as she took her seat beside him, as she tried to muster up the courage to ask him out once more. Why did I like her again when I was younger? Naruto mentally thought to himself. Oh, that's simple, said Kurama. Wait, you know why? Said Naruto. Of course. You were a damn idiot. As Naruto's sweat dropped, as the fox started to laugh at him. Wait, what? Naruto blinked, as he glanced towards Naruto. She heard him. She heard him talking to Kurama. You used to have a crush on Sakura? That damn fangirl? Well, said Naruto. Naruto could tell that he was holding something back. Tell me. Everything, she said. As Naruto sighed, he might as well come clean with her. Well, as Kurama said, perhaps I was an idiot back then. However, she was kind of harsh as well. She always punched me and, well, ignored me. What? Naruto said, growing angrier. How dare she? Calm down, said Naruto. Yeah, it's basically the same her, but still. You can't just go and attack her for something that she hasn't done personally. Her cheeks started to redden as she started to huff and puff, clenching her fists. Maybe she was getting a bit too upset about Naruto having a crush on Sakura, Or maybe it was because the punches. And Sakura always trying to belittle him when they were younger. However, Naruto placed a hand on her shoulder and smiled at her. Just calm down, he said. It's alright now. That was a very long time ago. And besides, she grew up and became a wonderful kunoichi. When she got out of this stage, this horrible, dreadful stage. Alright, fine, she said, as she calmed herself down. With that, they went and have a seat. In the meantime, as they sat down, Naruto had her meditating. It could help a lot with thinking and making sharp decisions. And also, it will help a lot when she was going to take on their sage training. Of course, she was going to become a sage. The door opened not too long after, as a man stepped inside. He was just as Naruto remembered him to be. Laid back, that bored look in his eyes. As Naruto watched him as he stepped inside and looked at them. As Naruto started to giggle. They had half an hour to kill, so of course they decided to prank him for making them wait so long. A bucket of chalk tipped over and covered him from head to toe, as he was now painted white. As Naruto started to laugh blatantly. As Naruto had to cover his laughter. As Kakashi stood there blinking, with his one eye exposed. Wow, Sensei, what happened to you? Did a black cat cross your path? And you got unlucky or something, said Naruto, in a mocking tone. Sakura was shocked that it actually worked, and Sasuke muttered something about weak Sensei. As he composed himself. My first impression of you guys is, I hate all of you, he said. Sakura eyes widened in shock, and Sasuke eye twitching. Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. With that, he flickered away. However, Naruto saw there was an after image of the chalk outline that went towards the door and vanished. What the hell do you think you're doing? Now, our sensei hates us. Sakura yelled at Naruto. Sakura was it, said Naruto. As he pissed the girl off even more. He actually found it rather fun. Our sensei won't hate us for too long. Actually, if anything, he's gonna like us even more, said Naruto. What? Sakura said, confused. As Naruto was about to say something, but Naruto stopped her as he spoke. Did you think I chose chalk powder because I like it? Sakura just nodded as she didn't understand. Well, it was actually a test to see if you're aware of your surroundings as most shinobi should be. Did you see anything unusual when you left? You're talking to the smartest student in the academy, she said, folding her arms. Of course I can see it. As she looked back to the area, he left the after image of chalk powder when he vanished away. See? Easy. And, said Naruto. And what? Sakura said. What does this have to do with our sensei hating us? It doesn't make any sense. As Naruto then got it. The teleportation that he used. It wasn't a teleportation like we assume. Back during the academy courses. As Naruto smiled, proud of her. What? Sakura said. I don't get it. She was still confused. Even Sasuke now was chiming in, curious to know what Naruto was talking about. As Naruto looked towards Sakura, are you sure that you're the smartest student in the academy? Her mouth opened in a gape as she looked at him. As Naruto cut her off, Naruto-chan, he said, would you mind explaining to our new friend here? The technique that he uses is a D-rank technique, the sunshine, the body flicker technique. It is basically an increase of speed by 100-fold for a shinobi to move from one point to another in short distances to make it seem like one has teleported. To mask the appearance of it being seen like it's a technique of transportation, objects are used like leaves or smoke to mask the user speed enough. As Naruto patted Naruto on the head, making her smile at him with a blush. As Sasuke glared over at Naruto. Great answer, Naruto-chan, said Naruto. And how did you know that it was a speed technique? Well, as he sunshine, I saw chalk powder flying towards the door. He had moved off, however, he was moving fast, but the chalk was still whipping through the air. Sakura and Sasuke were stunned by the Uzumaki siblings, and also a bit jealous, especially Sasuke, as Naruto had turned a prank into a lesson for all of them. Sasuke had a big thing for Naruto, as he wanted her to be his future wife. However, Naruto was getting too close to her, and she was getting too close to him as well. It didn't matter what their relationship was, Sasuke did not like it one bit. Now let's get going, said Naruto. We wouldn't want to annoy our sensei. more than necessary. With that, he helped her up. As they made their way, once they were on the roof, they arrived to see Kakashi as he sat on the railing, clean from head to toe. As he sat there calmly, as they went and sat down on the stairs. Well, now that you're all here, why don't we start with an introduction? Start with your names, your likes, your dislikes, your goals and hobbies. Things like that, he said. Why don't you go first, Sensei? Sakura said. Alright, he said. I'm Kakashi Hatake. Things I like, things I hate. I don't feel like telling you. My hobbies are, well, I have a lot of hobbies. My dream for the future. Well, I never really thought about it. Team 7 sweat drop at that. As Naruto sighed, he already expected that. As he simply watched him in amusement. Just like the old Kakashi. Now you know about me. Now it's your turn, Pinky. She glared at him for the nickname. As she puffed out her chest. I'm Sakura Haruno. I like cherry blossoms. And I like, she glanced towards Sasuke. My hobbies are, she glanced towards Sasuke. My dream is, she glanced towards Sasuke. Huh. Great. A real big fangirl. Kakashi thought. Is there anything that you hate? Ino pig, she said. As she folded her arms. Okay. Now on to you, brooder, he said. Sasuke sent him a glare upon their nickname. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. As Naruto simply watched him, already knowing exactly what he was gonna say. Yep, just like his time, he thought to himself. As he watched Sasuke introduce himself. Black Zetsu had already manipulated the Uchiha clan from the start. The curse of hatred, all that. As his emotions got him to beat Sasuke down because of his sister, but Naruto had promised his best friend that he would save the Uchihas. He wouldn't let Sasuke die, despite him looking at his sister with lust, which really pissed and angered Naruto. Yes, really much. However, he had to make a change, as Sasuke was important to what is to come. And besides, it doesn't matter how you swing it. He was his friend. Well, he once was. And he was sure that he could regain that friendship. But it was gonna be a lot of work. A lot of work, as he sighed. Yeah, a lot of work. As Kakashi pointed towards him, well, might as well introduce himself. After all, Team 7 was gonna be a big part of team events. And the whole world. Everyone here will have to grow and reach their full potential. And Naruto will help them along the way, while destroying all the challenges that might raise up to try and stop them. He will protect them all. He will not allow this timeline to fall no matter what. That's a promise. And Naruto Uzumaki never breaks his promise. But guys, we end so right here. If you want to see the next portion, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notifications they posted. But I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.